Newcastle United are back in the Champions League, and in 1 week today, we take on Barcelona at St James's Park. A lot of excited Newcastle fans want to get to that game, but to put it simple, there is just not enough tickets. People applying for ballots, not getting in, the kids not being able to get a ticket. And what rubbed salt into the wounds is when you log on to a third-party website to find tickets are available. Logging on to Weekend Away in Newcastle, get your Barcelona ticket and stay at a hotel here has not gone down well with the fans, but Newcastle United have fought back and are starting to cancel season tickets. So we will talk about that in this video as well. Similar topic, the new CEO, David Hopkinson, has given a few interviews where he's spoken about tickets, new stadium, and a few other communication as well. That's a big one for me. So we'll get into all of that in this video. Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video on this Thursday afternoon. Very excited to be back at St James's Park. 2 games in a row coming up. Wolves this Saturday to start things off. Will we see a debut for one of our strikers? I should hope so. I would imagine, people are saying they think it's going to be, Big Nicky. I'm saying it's going to be Little Wizzy. I think it'll be Wissa who starts the game. More Premier League experience. I think probably more of a natural goal scorer. Wolves at home. Tough start of the season, but if we can get a win this weekend, would really get the boat rocking again in time for, as I mentioned, a very big game against Barcelona next week. I said it, when the draw came out, to have, fair enough, maybe not the first game, but certainly the first home game against a big side, to get everyone excited. PSG all over again, the nervous energy around the whole city, not just in the stadium, for days beforehand, will be absolutely wild. So I am one of the lucky ones, season ticket holder. I will be there. So if you want to catch the vlogs, pre-match, away fans coming into Newcastle, all that good stuff, subscribe to the channel. Help a man out. It's free to do so. Just press the subscribe button. It just means you get notified of the videos. So if you like the content, you like what you see, drop a like, help a man out. But as I've mentioned, Newcastle United are trying to help out the fans after a fair bit of backlash over the years. This isn't a particularly new thing. Essentially, since the takeover, it's been hard to get tickets. It's always been a pretty packed stadium. When I got my season ticket in the Championship 10 years ago, was it now? Rafa Benitez, the prices went down. That was a big part of why I jumped on, to be honest. Finally had the money to afford it when they put the prices down for the Championship. I tell you what, I'm glad I've got a job. I didn't think I had a job at the time. I'm glad I've got one now, because my word, it is probably more than double what I paid 8 years ago. But anyway, yeah, as I mentioned, it's never been easy getting tickets. But right now it is beyond realistic for the amount of fans trying to get in there. And we're going to come on to stadium and a few other things in a minute. But the big breaking news today is that Newcastle United have, in fact, cancelled season tickets today. That's right, and I'm reaching over just to grab my phone and I can actually read you what's being said. So essentially, this isn't a new thing, and I think it's not just a Newcastle thing. I think it is the world of football, it's the world of sport, probably. Third-party websites, people getting their hands on tickets, and there's been a massive call for Newcastle United to get involved, to actually try and stop these resellers. There's lines for me, and I think the line sometimes is a little bit grey of what you think is right and wrong, not being able to get to the game. So you pass it off to a friend, you send it to his supporter number via the system that's being created. Last minute, can't make it. Newcastle brought in a way that people could forward on away tickets so that fans, because I went to the Spurs game. I was at the Spurs game last season or the season before, and there was about 4 of us in the away end. I went down a day early to stay with a friend. It's a good job I did, because trains got cancelled throughout the whole day. Had all these London mags, no one could give them the ticket because they hadn't facilitated it. So we are learning. I think the club are learning. They're trying to do better, and as of today, have made a pretty big move. So the reports coming out are that breaking news: Newcastle have cancelled a number of tickets and also revoked season tickets for people who are selling on third-party websites. And additionally to that, 4,500 membership accounts are being watched due to suspicious activity, and 750 supporters are being actively monitored for touting. Well done, Newcastle. Yeah, I'll applaud that. Yeah, there's a long way to go, and I don't think it's just Newcastle. I think it's the whole of sport, the whole of football. But understandably, when you're unable to get a ticket, but you probably can, like, you can literally log on to third-party websites. And I'm not condoning it. I would actually argue, go and find your mates, and it's easy to say when I've got a ticket, I know. Go and find your mates, get in the pub, enjoy it, get in the stack, get nearby. 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5 grand these tickets are online for. It's sickening. And that's why Newcastle needed to make a move. As I've mentioned, it's not just the odd bloke selling them. Like, there is actual touts who have their hands on 10, 15, 20 tickets, season tickets, who just sell them every game, and no one's done anything about it. So I think it's about time that we are doing it. It's a shame that it's taken a big game like Barcelona to make Newcastle come out and do something. But the point is that they are doing something. So thoughts and comments down below. If you're happy to see Newcastle taking this kind of action, drop a like on this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know your experience of tickets. And I think that a big thing for me here is communication as well. And I'm hoping that's where the new man, David Hopkinson, the new CEO, is gonna try and help us with that. Because I have to say, in terms of communication from the club, up until maybe today, where they've brought this bit of information out, has been lacking really since Amanda Staveley left. And funnily enough, around the time David Hopkinson's joined, Amanda Staveley's just gone and done an interview, hasn't she? She did it with Jake Humphries over on his High Performance podcast, which I do like those podcasts. I think he's quite good. I think, like all podcasts, it can depend on the guest. I thought the Dan Burn one was really good. I thought the Eddie Howe one was really good. But Eddie Howe's a lot more intricate, maybe for my ears. I just want to listen to Dan Burn laugh about how Jacob Murphy, did a fart joke in the changing room. Not Eddie Howe, giving me the step-by-step guides on. But it was good. Amanda Staveley's, I've listened to parts of it. I do plan to listen to the full thing. But she has been on talking about Newcastle United, the love that she felt at the club. She actually cried at one point when he was talking about how Amanda Staveley came in, and that's how it felt to us at the time. It did feel like Amanda Staveley had saved the club from the clutches of the evil Mike Ashley. And the thing she brought was just communication, and when she left, Darren Eales did a little bit, but obviously he got on well. So I'm not going to blame him either. What I want now is for David Hopkinson, the new man in charge, to start being that way. And he's already done 2 interviews, so he's made a fantastic start. And as I've mentioned with the ticket stuff today, I think it shows we're hopefully going in the right direction. So sticking with communication, he said that he cannot wait to start connecting and engaging with the fans. He wants to get into the community and find a new sense of alignment. So I think that's really hit the nail on the head. I think for one time when Amanda Staveley was here, the whole club felt connected, from the fans to the ground staff, the cleaners, all the way up to the big Yass at the top, Eddie Howe in the middle. It really felt that way. And of late, with the Isaac stuff going on and not really great communication, Eddie Howe I felt like he got hung out to dry a lot. He was getting asked about the stadium. He was getting asked about, it's not Eddie's job. It's not Eddie's job. It's David Hopkinson's job now. And for me, it's going to probably be a part of the new director of football, whoever that may be. It's clear that Newcastle want one, so we are waiting to hear on that one. But he talked about wanting to connect with the fans. Get him. Darren Eales was in the bloody in the stack drinking the pints and stuff. Oh, what did he also said? He cannot wait to build on the tremendous work laid ahead of him by his previous staff. So he's already a step ahead of Paul Mitchell. He didn't come in and slag everybody off on day one. So well done, David. But despite saying that he wants to make sure that he looks at the fans, community and culture, he says that he also is looking at bringing in some changes. We'll come on to stadium in a second. We'll come on to training ground in a second. One of the changes that I've wrote down in front of us here, which I thought of, was badge. Anyone? Do you remember when they told us they were going to change the badge? Where's that gone? Is that because everyone laughed out the prototype, so they've gone back to the drawing board and we may well never see them again? We'll have to wait on that one, because I think that was quite high. That was quite breaking news at the time, wasn't it? That Newcastle confirmed they were going to be changing the Newcastle United emblem. People had said, or crest, people had said that were they going to make it bigger, were they going to make it smaller, were they going to make it round? We saw a few leaks. It was reported that those leaks were indeed correct and they were shown to fans to get their opinion on. I presume all of the fans laughed and told them there's no way we would accept that. And then we've never heard of it again. So who knows? Maybe that group did us all a favour and it's actually not going to change. I mean, said it at the time, why change it when it's not broken? I see nothing wrong with the badge of Newcastle United. If they want to bring me an alternative, I'll tell them whether I like it or not. You know, I'm not going to comment on a make-believe badge that I've never seen. You know, I'm not going to go, I don't want it, or, oh my, you know, they've not shown me it yet. They could show me it and I go, oh, actually, you know, it's got the castle on, or it's got the black and white stripes in there, it's got a magpie on. I'm going, oh, actually, don't mind a bit of that. So, yeah, change isn't always a bad thing, but it can be. And I think that's what David Hopkinson has tried to say here. He wants to make sure he gets the culture and the legacy and is consistent with the view of the fans. And I think we've already discussed it today, ticketing. Clearly there was a view of the fans who were not happy. So it's great to hear that we've done something with that today. It would be nice to hear more and more of how Newcastle are trying to solve that situation. Ultimately, a big part of solving it would be the stadium. So we did talk about stadium. Bearing in mind we were meant to hear, what was it, the end of last year they were doing this survey? And then it was going to be the start of this year. Well, it's September now, and there is still no news on a new stadium. I think a part of that is because of the breakdown in structure throughout the club. Darren Neal's leaving, Paul Mitchell leaving, Dan Ashworth leaving, Amanda leaving, like realistically, and I spoke about this before, it's the Eddie Howe era for me. It's the Eddie Howe era. David Hopkinson is a chapter in the Eddie Howe era. You know, Amanda and Murdad, they get a big chapter at the start of the book. Hell yeah, they get 3 or 4 chapters. Them. Dan Ashworth, he gets about 2 pages. Paul Mitchell, he gets a few. Darren Neal's, yeah, I'll give him a few chapters. I think he did really well. I was glad he was part of the club when we won a cup. I want David Hopkinson to essentially, you know, I don't know how many pages are in the Eddie Howe book. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we've got plenty of time to go of reading this one. But I'm hoping that the David Hopkinson one has a big part to play in this story and is not just a chapter. So that's what I mean in terms of getting these bigger things set up. Like the staff members, every time we sign one document, they've got to go back and print it off again because that staff member has left. So he went on to say that they are thinking very hard about their decision to be made, but essentially they are not ready to decide on what happens with the stadium. St James's Park is a special place, but does our future lie best suited here or somewhere else? And once again, you know, we'll start off with the tickets. I've warmed to it. You know, once again, everyone is similar to the ticket stuff. Everyone's in a different place. Everyone's got a different idea. People are die-hard, don't want to leave St James's. Some people are really keen to get out of St James's and get into that next generation, that next super stadium seats, you know, and all that shebang. I think there's pluses and negatives to both of them. Look, I can go into St James's and I can go, look, that's where my granddad used to sit over there. Here's my seat. My dad's used to sit just up there as well. Like there's lovely stuff in St James's that I don't ever want to lose. But similar to the badge, you know, until there's actually an actual option put in front of me, then I'm not going to strike it off just yet. So I'm kind of riding the wave. I'm kind of, you know, going through the motions of what will happen. But I think in terms of capacity and what Newcastle are going to do, we have to do something. Whether that is to sort themselves out and they really push to build St James's Park up, or whether it's a totally separate move, we'll have to wait and see. What looked to be a very high priority, I think, has slipped down the list because of the trouble behind closed doors with with who the hell's in charge and who's actually looking after this. Is this on Darren Eales' list of things to do? I'm presuming, when he was in hospital, that wasn't at the top of the list anymore. So we'll have to see where it rates on David Hopkinson's. But one of the things on his list was winning trophies. And I do say that with a little bit of a laugh and a smile, because you could, if you wanted to, clip that up and do an Amanda. In 5 years, we're going to be winning. And in fairness, you weren't wrong. 4 years down the line, we've won our first trophy. Did you say that, or did you say we're going to win the league? She said a few things. But I took that as I took it at face value. I took it with a pinch of salt. There was a new owner who was excited, and I see the similar situation with David Hopkinson. He says that let's go fill that trophy case. That is the ambition, and that's exactly the ambition. That's the ambition of every football club. That's the ambition of every fan, to see their club succeed, to see their club win things, to play Champions League football, to play in Barcelona in St. James's Park. So yeah, I like his attitude. I like how he's been very forefront with interviews and talking, and I'm hoping we're going to hear a lot more from this guy. I think he speaks about kind of culture and being consistent with the fans. I think, I talk about Newcastle fans like we're one of our own, and we probably are, Every football fan's probably different. Every club's probably a little bit different. But I would say it's probably fairly similar for most clubs to just tell us what's going on, just say what's happening, and we'll probably be okay with it. I think the thing that hurts fans is when we hear nothing and then the decision's made that people don't like. Just be open with it. With the badge, for example, they showed a few fans, they all hated it, and it sounds like we've taken that feedback on board and we've never heard about it again. So if he continues that mantra, if he continues to speak to the fans, if he continues to get the opinion of fans before making big decisions, I think we're in for a good one. So yeah, thoughts and comments down below on the ticket situation. Are you happy to see Newcastle starting to take action? I think they have to. As I say, I would actually argue that it's annoying that it's taken them a big game against Barcelona to actually do something rather than just ignoring it. You can literally log on to third-party websites and pay $5,000 for a ticket now if you wanted to. Just don't do it, please. Don't do it. The hospitality is getting out of control. These are there was loads of positives there. Well, I'll never be negative or try to end on a negative point, but that's the other side of the coin. He talks about wanting to be in with the fans locally, the culture, the legacy, all those good things. The different side of the coin is, as Newcastle grow, as we want to be a global brand, as we want to build, to grow revenue, to have more money to spend on players, what that also does is, well, it does increase the global support for Newcastle. So all of a sudden, it's not just, the lads from, Wallsend up the road who are wanting a ticket anymore. It's all of a sudden, it's, someone from down the country or further afield, other countries. And, there's a balance there. There's something that's got to be done right about that. If those fans apply for a membership plus, get in the ballot and get a ticket. I don't know that I've got much wrong with that, because they are a fan and they've tried like everybody else. Wealthy fans from far flung who are buying them off third-party websites for 20 grand, that's when there's a problem in the system. So yes, thoughts and comments, talked for ages, enjoyed me a little sat outside chatting with you guys as always. So thoughts and comments down below on David Hopkinson, on Newcastle taking action on the tickets, and I'll catch you later.